All right. We'll turn this down. Follow us on Instagram. Follow me. Jam 95.3 FM. Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Rebirth on Philly Jams 95.3. I'm your host, Shay Marriott. And joining me tonight, my co-host.
Hey, it's your boy Eli Isabel in the building, aka the South got something to say. What's good, Shay Marriott?
What's going on, man? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
How you doing?
I'm well. God is able.
Okay.
So we sitting up in here.
All right.
I'm trying to follow up on your prayer. We're gonna keep it spiritual tonight.
That's right. That's right.
How you doing?
I'm well. I'm blessed and highly favored.
Keep it going. Don't be ashamed. I know your heart. Weekend. Tell me about your weekend.
That's right. My weekend was chill. It was chill. It was laid back. I needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it goes by too fast. And of course, we say that every Monday when we come on, we talk about how fast the weekend goes, but it's all good.
And we're still doing our research. If anybody in the room can help us, we are still trying to figure out the genius that said you should work 5 days and be off 2. Once we find that person, if he has an ancestor that's alive, we punch him in the mouth.
Oh my God.
We gotta figure this whole thing out. Like, why it gotta be 5 and 2?
Right.
What's that ratio? But yeah, so listen, let me tell you something crazy. Right, crazy.
What?
However, so my child had a cheerleading competition this weekend. Right? So, she's the only one of us on the whole entire team. And we're down there. So at the end, when the judges are doing, when they're like tallying up the scores and whatnot, all of the team is just all on this big giant mat. Everybody's hanging out. The DJ's playing music. They're dancing. And so the DJ puts them on the wall.
Oh, it was done.
So my child, she's looking at all her teammates and I'm like, they can't even do the wobble. She just walked off the mat and was just standing there like embarrassed.
Oh, was she?
She was embarrassed.
Oh,
I was embarrassed for her. I'm like, we're not here for that part. We're just here for the education. So you can go to an HBCU when you go to college. I don't know what else to tell you. But they struggled with it. Was so hilarious.
Struggling with the wobble. What wobble? It was the wobble.
The
right?
wobble. They was bumping into each other. It was a mess.
Oh my god! And I know you was acting a fool.
I was rolling.
I know you were.
I was over there rolling. It's like, stop laughing at them kids. I'm like, they need to know how to do the wobble.
So the behind story of this, because people don't know, too much, but she goes pretty much to a
Yes, 38 black kids at her school.
Right. Okay.
And she's the only black cheerleader. So that gives you the backdrop. I didn't want to shout out the school in case somebody listening.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. They're
gonna take that money anyway. But yeah, so that was my hilarious thing for the weekend. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Well, you always find something crazy going on.
Hey,
that's what you do.
That's how we got to do it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So once again, welcome to the Rebirth. Guys, if you want to tune in tonight in regards to asking some questions, make sure you give us a holler at 267-908-3166. But right now, we're going to go to right here, right now.
Yes, right here, right now, man. A really crazy story out of El Paso, Texas. I don't know if you guys heard this or saw it on the news, but brother and sister living together down in El Paso, Jose Manuel Guzman and his sister Carla Chavez. They are technically roommates. However, they start a romantic relationship. The sister then decides to see someone else, and the brother becomes angry, finds out that she slept with this guy, and he beats her with a bat and some kind of massaging tool. Like, he flipped out and killed his sister because she slept with another dude.
First of all, that's nasty. First of all, but are you serious?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
For real. That is wild. Like, he straight beat her with a bat, and I'm like, yo, what? So Shay, as a therapist, I'm gonna defer to you on this
here
one.
We go. I don't know.
How? And then they're adults. They're 32 and 28, so they're not like some young kids in the house and they're doing, exploring. These are adults.
And they were blood brothers and sisters, not
they are
married
blood.
into the.
No. They're brother and sister.
Yeah, that's.
At least it doesn't go into that detail, but they are at least same mom. I'm assuming. How it don't matter. Shit, they got different daddies or different mamas. You don't do that. So how do we unpack this a little bit for me?
It's nasty. What ain't nothing?
Oh, that's it. There's no therapeutic.
It's just straight. No, that's nasty. That's all. There's no therapeutic going on. That's just straight nasty.
Wow. Well, R.I.P. to that young lady. That's an unfortunate way to go. And why are you sleeping with your brother?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a shortage, but you can't
It's a
be
cold
going
world.
with family.
I mean, if this was Atlanta, I might be like, all right, because you got the ratio down there. You got the brothers in jail. You got the other brothers that don't mess with the sisters, and then you got the ones that only mess with the white girls. So there's a shortage down there. But this is El Paso, Texas. What are we doing?
I don't know. That's crazy, but thank you for that
Right here,
here,
right
now. All right.
I like to bring you bad news every week.
Yeah, how about that? So a moment in Black history. Of course, this is Black History Month, but we are here on the Rebirth. We are going to be celebrating Black history year round, not just for the month of February. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, born in 1831, and she passed away in 1895. She was the first Black woman in the United States to qualify as a doctor. She opened her own medical clinic in Boston and dedicated herself to treating women and children who lived in poverty. She treated patients regardless of their ability to pay and often took no money for her work.
Wow.
So shout out to Rebecca Lee Crumpler. Rest in peace. That is our moment in Black history.
We have one more week, right?
No,
Of
we're
Black
doing
history.
it every year.
No. Well,
I mean,
every Monday.
every week.
Every year.
You know what I mean.
So every week. All right, cool. Because I want to talk about the lady that said, the first purple Black woman that said, I wish I would. We got to give her props. That created that phrase.
Do you know
We'll
who she
get
is?
into that next week. You already gave one. We'll get
Okay,
into
you
that
know
next
what?
week.
Okay.
Let's
Only
introduce
you.
our esteemed guest for
Only
tonight.
you. Yes. So I'm excited tonight. We are going to be talking about pursuing your passion. And I have a awesome gentleman. I mean, I know him personally. I know the work that he does in the community. And I'm very excited and honored to have him on the show. Mr. Michael McCline, welcome to the Rebirth.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Welcome to the show, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for coming. So what I failed to mention is Michael is the CEO operator of Impact Community Supports.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Impact Community. How did that come about?
Well, it started about a year and a half ago during COVID when it first went on. Everybody had a lot of time to think, and it ties into what we're going to talk about tonight, like pursuing your passion.
Yeah.
And I had a gut feeling, an intuition that maybe I should do something on my own. For years, I've worked in. I was a foster care case manager for some time. I went into education, and I called myself an urban education specialist because I always worked in the urban setting.
Yeah.
And I said, how about, maybe some of the skills and things that I learned, how can I pass it on to others and empower other, not only students and children, but people in general. So just coming during COVID, thinking about things and how can I do something that I know, a skill set that I learned and pass it on to others, not just in a setting working for, a school or in that capacity.
Absolutely. Which I think is so important, especially when, you said an urban educator specialist.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of us have had experience in here and working in the school. So we see the issues when it comes down to teachers, not enough,
Not enough people who look like the people that they are educating. And definitely not enough men.
And the fact that sometimes teachers do not know how to deal with our kids based on what their background might be, what's going on, what's happening. We've seen plenty of times where kids will come into the schools, upset, maybe just leaving home or whatever, and then a teacher might yell and scream, right? And they could be just walking out of that same environment at home. So being able to teach those skills and how to work with our community, I think is mad important.
Absolutely.
So you said this came about during COVID. So a lot of people have been birthing babies during COVID, but you birthed a new company. So congratulations. Absolutely. So we're talking about pursuing your passion. Tell me about that a little bit. How did you start?
Well, I would say about, I'm 43 now. So when I was about 35 years old, I had a rough period during my life. Just a lot of different obstacles, relationship-wise, relationship with my families, a lot of interpersonal communication with individuals in my circle, in my life. And I started to think about, what am I doing right now? Like, what am I doing with myself? If I backtrack, I went to school, I graduated college with a degree in business. And a small group of my friends, we got together and we started a small business. We didn't know what we were doing. Most times when people go to college and you think, oh, I'm gonna go to learn about how to start a business.
Right.
But no, when I really reflect on it and think about my time in college, most mostly all the skills and competencies that they passed on was managerial, like really working for someone else.
Right.
So really, it's part of the big cog. You're part of the machine.
Right.
And I didn't know that you have to know people. You have to be connected. It's not about what you know, but who you know.
Exactly.
So I fell into a situation where it was when I graduated, I didn't have any. I was at the bottom of the totem pole. Went to school for 4 years for business, and then I'm working on the call center.
Okay.
And I just didn't feel like that was really something that I wanted to do. I think I
Right.
had self-diagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
So hard sitting on talking on the phone all day, looking at the clock. Then the money was okay, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
And then during college, I worked on a RTF, which is considered a residential treatment facility
Right.
with children that have been sent away because of their behaviors and maybe some of the traumas they experienced. They get sent to a facility that can handle those things and help them work on it. And I started working there, and I started interacting with the kids, and I was pretty good at it. And even the people, the higher ups, noticed that. So one of my friend of mine, he was like, "Won't you get into social work, Mike? You know, I just got in. He had a criminal justice degree. Like, you'll get an interview, and if you do well, they might give you a shot." And that's how I really transitioned from the business side of things and started working with our kids. And it was at a treatment foster care agency in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that for about 7 years. Yeah.
And kids became your passion.
Yeah, during that time. I started to know, but I really didn't know. Like, my relationship with God was a lot different than too.
Okay.
So I didn't have a lot of what I call me time.
Okay.
Going into the closet and really having conversations and finding out about myself. So inevitably, during that time, I knew I had a calling, and I knew it was like, oh, work with kids, you're pretty good. You didn't even go to school for it, but I still was just trying to figure out my way. Figuring out my way during that time. And after doing that for about 5 years, I had an opportunity to get into schools and work with a special education population. So, and that was a transition in my life. I'm a type 1 diabetic. There's a lot of obstacles driving around all day in cars, in Philadelphia, back and forth. At that time, I had to be about 27, 28.
Okay.
And it was an opportunity to go into schools and maybe use some of the things I wasn't a teacher by trade, but I consider myself a coach.
Right.
Those skills transfer,
Right.
no
Right.
matter what people tell you. I think they do.
Absolutely.
So, and that's when I started working with a special education population in Wilmington, Delaware. And I worked there for several years.
Wow.
With that population.
Wide variety of experience I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Which qualifies you in my book to be where you are right now.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it did. It acted as a cornerstone to help build the foundation. But I really didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I still, I had a passion for business. I always went into small ventures.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was working working with the students in the school and working with the community, because I found out the best way to influence children or students in schools or any population is really getting to know their foundation, their parents,
Absolutely.
and their community.
Right.
And by
Right.
doing that, it just really helped build my capacity in that facet. And I was pulled out of the classroom. I had opportunity. I always have a lot of opportunities in my life. I look back, God always threw me the alley-oop. Made it pretty easy for me.
Yeah.
So knowing that I was good with children, but to where I'm at now, it's definitely a long journey with different obstacles along the way. So, yeah.
So I think when you said about, the opportunity, you also have to be open to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the opportunities are there, but people are just not open to it. People are afraid to jump, right? So when we're talking about pursuing, right, I like to break things down definition. Pursuing is going after, chase, follow, running after something. And then passion is a strong feeling and emotion, right? So running after your emotion, running after that strong feeling, pursuing your passion, which is so hard for people to pinpoint. I mean, how many times have we heard someone say, what is my purpose?
Right.
What am I supposed to be doing? I hear it all the time. I always hear it in therapy as well. What am I supposed to be doing? And then you always hear the, do something that you're passionate about, and you'll never feel like you'll work a day of your life, right?
That's a lie.
So you have these different sayings. Now, what you do is not easy. It's
Absolutely.
not easy. What keeps you there? What keeps you grounded?
I would say, that was my early 20s. When I hit that age, about 35, and running into those obstacles in interpersonal relationships in my life, I then started to had an epiphany, and I thought it was really to start looking at myself and doing more self-reflection, and in analyzing the decisions that I was making at that point. I think looking back on myself, and even I'm still working on it because nobody's perfect, you know.
Absolutely.
But I used to do a lot of finger pointing and looking at situations, and I think it's like the natural nurturer in me where I'm looking at like, oh, it's a situation, or you know, what you do have to take the context around anybody or anything that happens, an incident or individual, but at the same time, what part did you play in it actually?
Right.
And during around that age in my life, I started really looking at myself. What was I doing? What actions could I have done differently? What things did I do? Why did
Right.
I do them? Why am I making these choices?
Wow.
So that's when it started. I think I started streamlining and honing in to like actualizing the passion and figuring out actually like you good with kids, you work with kids, but what are you going to do with it? You know, the trajectories. Because I was
Yeah.
a dean, I have got pulled out of the classroom because of a certain skill set, and I was made like a what you would call like a dean or a behavior guy at your school that deals with kids that are acting, that are off task or whatever. But I always use like a counseling approach with it.
Right.
And certain people, with the opportunity it goes back to, saw that I had a skill set and saw that I had, you know, I was able to manage others and implement systems. So they were like, won't you be an assistant principal? So I went from being, and this is with no academic background and
Wow.
no teaching degree, none of that.
Yeah, that's
So
That's
that's-
God right
yeah,
there,
that's
man.
God,
Yeah,
exactly.
calling you to your destiny.
And that was part of the pursuit. So and also like you said, looking when those opportunities present themselves, being a critical thinker and being able to capitalize on those opportunities to keep moving forward, not only financially, but like in the career, fulfilling, you know, what I felt I wanted to do.
yeah.
What impact do you think? And I mean, just wanted to share this with the audience. What impact do you think that being a male in this particular position play with the kids you work with?
I think it always helped, but you know, at because if I go back and more than just saying I'm a teacher or an educator, I would say I'm a coach.
Right.
It's natural to me. I coached sports my whole life. As soon as I graduated college, I went back and coached at my old high school and
Okay.
at the college level. So I feel like just being a leader and seeing it in some of our households, not all, but a lot of households, there isn't a male present. But
Right,
given that
right.
perspective, being able to sit back and share that perspective with the individuals and the community that you're serving is great. But it's all about how you do it. I think
Absolutely.
my approach was never as if like, you know, I'm a man, this is how men do things.
Right.
You know, I'm really listening to the perspective sharing. Like, what's your perspective? Is if I'm speaking with the community or a family that maybe doesn't have a male present in the home, and then I'll share my perspective, and then I'll give context on why I'm giving it. And if it happens to do with a male perspective, then I'll share that. But I think being open to the dialogue and listening to it both ways, which I call like, you know, perspective sharing, perspective listening, and things. Those skills I think really help.
And you know what? That's not to cut you off. That's important too, because I think a lot of our kids they aren't heard at home. You know, it's either do it because I said so, or you know, because this is the way we've always done things, and they don't know. You know, they don't know how to share, and and they
Right.
keep all this stuff bottled up. So I mean, that sharing. What did you call it? Critical sharing, or what was your phrase?
Perspective sharing.
Perspective sharing. I think that's awesome because a lot of kids come in, and that might be the only place they get an opportunity to share how they feel, and that decreases a lot of stuff too, a lot of negative energy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the reasons why, in the end, I started Impact Community Supports, because during that journey, working as a, you know, like as a disciplinarian to an assistant principal, where I'm at now, when I was home during COVID, that's when I figured out how to encapsulate it all.
Right.
And, do it as a business, but an organization, but share those skills with others. So one of the techniques I actually used that you were describing is called restorative practices. Some people call it restorative justice. I'm more on the practices side because I look at the skills used and how we can implement it just to help
Right.
my general practice and dealing with individuals in general, in every day, even in my home with my wife, with everybody. You know, I try to use that the skills that are displayed when you use restorative practices.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you mind like saying a couple of the skills that you use when doing that?
Well, you use, like I said, perspective sharing. You also use critical thinking skills.
Okay.
You also use communication skills, perspective listening,
Okay.
like really tuning in, and then ownership. I would say like using, being able to be responsible for your actions. When you
accountability.
accountability.
Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah, I think
Yeah. Okay.
accountability. So those are the things when you use that conversation. And when you're teaching others to use that conversation, not only to like to resolve an incident, because that's when the most time you would use that, or a situation, but you could talk about it in schools or as a group or as a team at work where you're just talking about current events, because then you take out like that I'm right and wrong. Because one of the tenets of like restorative practices when you're having those conversations, that I'm not the judge. So say you two guys were arguing about whatever, you two persons, I'm gonna be politically correct, whatever. But yeah, y'all talking and y'all having a disagreement. In the end, I think saying if I'm there to mediate, that I'm not the judge. I'm not going in the end, and everybody, and I'm surprised in my in my journey with restorative practice and whatnot when I'm doing those conflict resolution moments, having them with individuals or students or even adults. That is always we're seeking for someone's approval on the right and the wrong. Like I did this. And it was I right? Or
human nature.
Human nature, yeah. But you take that out with restorative practices, and it's more or less that I'm not the judge. We're going to share what your truth.
Right.
The other individual shares their truth.
Yeah.
And then in the end, we can figure out a way to move forward. So you don't get stuck in the muck. You hear each other out. And you can discuss it in detail because, people want, if people were hurt or they, they were harmed, whatever, emotionally, then you want to get to the bottom of it. But it's really setting the stage and creating a path to move forward.
Right.
So more or less, but people got to get used to that because when even I do it with my staff at work, and when I do it in practice with students, a lot of people, they're usually like, no, she's right, he's wrong. I'm like, I understand. That's what you both said while you did it, but how are we going to move forward?
Right.
Yeah.
It drives the conversation.
Yeah.
It comes to, you're able to move forward. And that's what we have to do in life in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because people get stuck. They get stuck in what happened. So in the therapy world, we call it solution focused therapy, right? So not focusing on what the issue is so much, but what is the solution to this? How do we move forward? And it's very effective, so good.
Yeah, I mean,
You use that at home?
Well, I always get told, don't try to therapy me in a disagreement.
Approach,
no, I know, but I'll still get hit with that if I try to talk logically. Don't be trying to therapy me. I'm like, no, we just having a conversation. So if you're not arguing, if you're not being loud and screaming, you're trying to therapy them.
Right, theraperize me, right?
Jeez, I would try, but it ain't gonna work at my house.
So silly. So, one of the things that I heard you say, you had to do a lot of self-reflection. Like what? How did you even know you had to do that? Like that breakdown. At what point in your life that you was like, okay, I gotta pause for a minute and really reflect?
Or was there a moment? Was there some kind of transitional moment that made you be like, I gotta get my stuff together. Let me, you know what I mean? Was there a particular moment? You don't have to go into detail because I know it's personal, but a roundabout.
All right. No, I was in a relationship and it was moving toward the marriage phase. I was engaged and it didn't.
How old were you?
During that time, I probably was around 32.
Okay, so you weren't a young boy per se.
No, I wasn't a young
All right,
guy.
okay.
And I was engaged and it didn't work out. And it was like, what part did I play in it? And it was messy. I was hurt. And during that time, as well, I had some always God in my life, the hand of God. I'm like the Israelites, and the hand of God always helps me out.
That's right.
But I had an opportunity to go to the University of Penn actually to study counseling.
Oh wow.
Where the story, I can go on a tangent. Can I go on a tangent?
Go
Go on a
ahead.
tangent. This your hour.
That's
I
right.
can go on a tangent.
Do your thing.
So I actually, this is crazy, and might be like what do you call it? Your when you witness or whatever. Let me tell you, I didn't pay a car ticket. It's crazy. I didn't pay a car ticket. I was staying down here in Wilmington. I didn't pay a ticket, so they were like, "Oh, I finally got something in the mail." They said they're gonna go hard on you. So I was like, "Let me go to this little hearing." So I was downtown. I went to the hearing.
Low hearing.
The Philadelphia Parking Authority ain't no joke.
Yeah, it was. I said, "Let me go down here and see what I got to do." So when I'm in there, I'm explaining where I work and what I do, and the judge was actually it wasn't a judge. I guess it was a magistrate. She was actually a professor at Penn. And she heard about what I was like when I told her what like my career was. She was like, "We need more people like you. How about you come in this program?"
Wow.
So it was like,
Look at that.
and it was like I got in, but during that time, that all fell apart because when the relationship fell and all of that, it was a lot of it was a lot. So I ended up dropping out of the program, but I had pretty good grade. I had 4.0.
Wow.
At it, but if I was more resilient or whatever. But at that point, you point fingers. Like I said, that was almost. But it wasn't really losing the school. It was just my life in general. So it was a plethora of things, just in a big pot.
Yeah.
And then I made a decision to start looking at like, well, you gotta look at yourself. It ain't everybody's fault.
Right.
You know, so kind of, it wasn't rock bottom or something like a sad story. It was just like, oh man, you gotta figure this out.
Aha moment.
You know? Yeah.
Wow. So that opportunity, in that moment, it went away, but it presented itself again because you've completed all of that. Now you're here, and you're also the principal at Chester High.
Yeah, I'm a ninth grade principal.
He's a ninth grade principal at Chester High.
Salute.
You know what I'm saying? So there's no excuses.
Absolutely not.
You know, stuff happens, life happens, but we get back up and we keep moving, which is something that you did.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pursuing your passion.
Pursuing your passion. Let's talk about being this principal at Chester High. Talk about give me some successful things and then talk about some challenges of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the successfulness, some successes. I would say we have like a comprehensive school plan, and there's a lot of intricate parts that you have to play a part. So I spearheaded certain initiatives, and I think I've been there almost 3 years now.
Okay.
So during my stay, I could work with faculty that didn't have all the resources or things that you would find necessary in a school, what you would think would be necessary, but still come together and get the job done for the students. You know, not looking for excuses. I know I have a math teacher that had a book drive during COVID because he noticed, because he actually asked the students, like, what do they like? And a lot of, you know, in that community where I work, a lot of people say, well, the kids, you know, they do struggle with reading. Right. But, you know, there's a lot of reasons because of that. But he found out that this certain student liked reading these chapter books, like one of those Harry Potter type books. Yeah. It wasn't Harry Potter. And when he found that out, he started asking more students, like, what do you like to read? And if it was like Slam Magazine, he started doing donations online. Got Southern New Jersey, Southeastern PA, Delaware. It was a big book. He got over like 500 books. Wow. He started a library, but he's a math teacher.
Wow.
You know, these are some of the things that, you know, I might get credit for because that's the you know, they're my teachers.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was the teachers putting in the work. We had tracking systems during COVID. It's still challenging. School has changed, and I think schools have to change a lot to really meet the need of the students because they're wired different.
Right.
They've been home for 2 years. So with those things, just seeing how the teachers come to work every day, how they stick together, that type of camaraderie, and also pushing forward and not taking, you know, no as an answer. Yeah. Like when it comes to material and books, I've seen teachers find resources. Yeah. I mean, yeah, so those are some of the great things. And and then some of the students that I saw, you know, they have a good history in that community for sports, especially basketball. Yeah. But Coach Bell, he's the football coach. He's been there about 6 years. Mm-hmm. They never really wanted football, but this year they went to states. They were they have a quarterback that's supposed to go to Lincoln University next year. He's a great student.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's a great student. He also plays football. So, like, he changed their program. I think he got Coach of the Year for Pennsylvania. He got honored by the Eagles. Wow. Like, last home game of the season.
That's dope. Yeah.
So, like, there are those things, like, you know, and he has to meet them on both sides, not only academically, but socially and emotionally. Like, how they grow and turn these young guys into young men. And I see a lot of that in that community. It's a close-knit community. You know, there's a lot of bad, but there's also a lot of good. Right. Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, I definitely want to hear more about your company after we come back from the break. You are listening to The Rebirth on Philly James 95.3. Our guest tonight is Mr. Michael McCline. We'll be back.
Follow us on Instagram. You better follow me at Philly Jam 95.3 FM.
Hey guys, it's your girl, Shay Marriott, the host of The Rebirth Show. I want to give you a look behind the scenes where we have so much fun here on The Rebirth Show. We come to you every Monday night at 7 p.m. and we bring their energy. We're just not showing you on the radio, but we're also showing you behind scenes. We're family here. If you would like to be a guest of The Rebirth Show, make sure you hit me at info@rebirthu.com.
And it is Monday, man. These weekends be going by quick.
I know. Who was the genius that said we work 5 days and be off too? Who was that fool?
Probably was a man.
Wow, a clear one.
Where Eli at?
Y'all gotta do your steak. Y'all gotta do your steak. You gotta get this. Girl.
Every 3 seconds, a woman is murdered by an intimate partner due to domestic violence. A damaged self-worth, distorted thoughts, and fear can keep a woman trapped. It's time to renew. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Loss of identity, security, and financial instability can cause a person to grieve a relationship as if they are grieving death. It's time to rebuild. Only 10% of Americans dealing with addiction receive treatment. More than 20% of Americans with anxiety disorder also suffer from a drug use disorder. People addicted to prescription drugs are 40 times more likely to become addicted to heroin. It's time to restore. Life happens to all of us, no matter race, gender, or age. You will be challenged to rediscover who you are meant to be, and what purpose you are meant to serve. Starting over after a life crisis, 12-step online course will help you rebuild, restore, renew, and rebirth the new version of yourself. It's never too late to start over and rewrite your story. Sometimes we have to die a little inside in order to be reborn. The rebirth.
Follow us on Instagram. Better follow me at Philly Jam 95.3 FM.
Welcome back to The Rebirth on Philly Jams 95.3. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are talking about pursuing your passion. Our special guest is Mr. Michael McCline. So let's check out some of the comments. Iris Brunson, shout out to you. She says, Michael McCline is a great leader who has a heart of collaborative work to advance the lives of young people. All right.
Wow, awesome.
Thank you, Iris, for sharing that. All right, Jim Marshall, shout out to you. I see your picture you sent up here. Okay. Shout out to Shannon Meyer. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right. So let's get back to the interview. So we want to talk a little bit about your company, Mike, Impacting Community Supports. So what programs do you guys offer?
Well, we offer for 8th grade through 12th grades. So it's teenage students, Teen Connection Project. So it's a 12-week program where we teach and develop certain social emotional skills. We partner with the Wayman Institute. They're a big national institute out of St. Louis. It's a research-based program. So it has fidelity measures in it. It was research, so we know that it is worked with the population that I look to serve. But not only is it for students, it's all teenagers. So I can run my programs not only in schools, but in community centers.
Nice.
I'm looking to try to make partnerships with the juvenile probation and juvenile justice in those capacities as well. And also from my experiences in residential treatment facilities, so our young people can get skills to build up to help them, the soft skills for life. I think it's very important and overlooked in our schools today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So how do one sign up? How do people? Is there something that they have to be eligible for to be in a program, or?
No, I partner with schools, so I speak with principals, assistant superintendents, and make contracts with them so that I'll be able to provide my program within their school. So it's all about them seeing the value of the program, and not only myself. I'm a facilitator, but I also partner with my other facilitators. Facilitators are pretty well known. Jasmine Wright, she's the push
Yeah, I
through.
know Jasmine.
Yeah, Jasmine, she's one of my facilitators.
Oh, okay. That's
And
what's
all,
up.
and other guys, they're all master levels, and they worked in a setting, in the urban setting, so they're used
Right.
to dealing with the challenges and the traumas of the students that we will be providing a program for.
That's awesome.
How many kids are you currently serving right now in your program?
Right now, we have 30 kids that we serve.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good number right there. That's work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
work. We're trying to grow it more and more.
Yeah,
So this is
absolutely.
a big year for us. I've been meeting with different schools, charter schools, public schools, and make those relationships so that we can provide it.
Yeah. Passion. Drive.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot
outside
of
of the
work.
school day that I have. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How about it?
But it's rewarding, right?
yeah, definitely.
It's rewarding at the end of the day. People always ask, like, gosh, therapy, that's a lot all day,
Yeah.
speaking to people and, hearing things that can be very traumatizing at times, right?
Absolutely.
But it's also, it's rewarding. If it's a passion of yours, that's my thing. If you're passionate about something, it comes natural to you, right? And that's kind of what I'm getting from you. It's part of what I do. It's your lifestyle at this point. It's not even considered to be a career. It's part of who you are as a person. You walk around, you represent your company, your brand, and you put the work in, and people see that. So, thank you for even having a program out there.
Absolutely.
Doing that. I know where I met you at Eastside, and you guys had a program there where you were doing something with the ties and the young men.
Men of integrity.
Yes, can you talk about that a little bit? Because I thought that was so cool. Which I would love to see that in other schools, but
Yeah, that was something. That was a brainchild with me and some of my colleagues at the job, and we had that going. Basically, we looked at all of the students and said, how can we put some positive influence on the men, the young men
Right.
in our building? So based off of their behaviors and not only their behaviors, but it was also students that were at risk and our needs that were. So they would fill out an application, and we would then let them in the program. We visited several black universities in the tri-state area, opened them up to. They earned a tie. So it was a series. It was like steps of passage, rites of passage. So it was about 5 steps that every student. I can't recall each one. It was years ago. But after like the 5 steps, they had to complete those goals. Then they received a tie.
Wow.
And it was a tie that they could wear during the school day, but it was nice. And it was by a black designer out of North Carolina. So it was, everything was
it's pretty
homegrown.
dope.
And yeah, it was good. It was very good.
That's pretty dope. So with all of the giving that you give of yourself and within the community and with all of the kids you work with, what's your self-care thing look like?
That was my next question. Look
Okay,
at
well,
you.
let me bring that back. Never mind. I recant that statement. Go ahead, Shay.
No, go ahead. Yeah. So, Michael,
You're right. So
how
much
do
down.
you implement self-care into your life?
Oh man, I'll tell you, and that's what just piggybacking on what I said earlier about just my growth, my spiritual growth as well. Like I try to wake up about 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning. I have to get to Chester High from where I live. It's about an hour commute. So I usually leave the house no later than like 6:15 a.m. So I get up at 4:30. I read several Psalms. I got like a routine.
Okay.
But it took some time to build this. There was a time when I didn't even pray daily.
Right.
I didn't even talk to God. But like, I would say over the last about year, steadily it progressed. But now I'm at the point where I'm doing that every morning. I do affirmations, several affirmations. I started looking into, those things from like the early 1800s, there are different authors, and that was a big thing during that time. But then it was made to be told they were like quacks. So then it kind of got dismissed. But now it's the biggest thing ever, like
Absolutely.
affirmations and things. But everything's a cycle. But I got on that and saying certain affirmations, just really being accountable and speaking the things into existence.
Right.
A little metaphysical. So, and then I take some time and I pray, and and I say my several Psalms. Found a lot of power with Psalms. I do that every morning. So it's about 45 minutes to an hour it takes.
Okay.
And then I
Starts the day.
start my day. So that's my self-care every morning. I've been doing that routinely, I would say, since with no breaks, since I would say right after Christmas.
Okay.
This past Christmas.
That's good.
Where I got into that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's still a work in progress, but
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely promote having some type of routine, a daily routine for yourselves in the morning. And you notice, go ahead and miss one day without doing it. I guarantee you'll feel it throughout your day. Some will be off, and you'll be like, "Did I pray this morning, or did I read my Psalms?" It is.
You gotta do
It
that.
is.
but you go back for your phone.
Yeah.
If you forget your phone at home, you'll go back
Right.
and get the phone. So I just started putting. I think I started putting being more intentional with my God time.
That's the word.
So I think that was really what made the difference. Like I try to build my day around God and not put my God in my day. And that's what I did. But when I do forget, like say I do wake up a little late and I can't get it all done, I'll listen to it in the car. When I get to my office before I start my day out, I'll still get to it. But that's just me putting that prioritizing. You get your house in order.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
gotta get my life together. I be listening to UGK on the way to work. Gotta switch some things up around here.
Yeah.
I be listening to Pimp C in the morning. Let me get.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Let me switch my life around. Thank you, brother. I need
Ain't nothing
you.
wrong with that.
I needed you tonight. I'm just saying.
I like UGK.
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
Little
it's
Kiki.
all
She don't like them down south rappers. I be trying to school it to.
Yeah,
I did not say I didn't like him. But I still don't know who Lil Kiki is.
I'm
You gonna have to play. We're gonna have to play Lil Kiki.
He just got a new CD came. Well, I'm old. New CD. He just got new music came out.
Lil Kiki. Okay. Mike, what can people expect to walk away from after completing your program and going through?
Well, it's for teenagers. So afterwards, the key indicators that we found are that the students feel like they connected with two caring adults, which would be the facilitators. But that not only lets you know if they can do it with our facilitators, then we know if they can point out some of the attributes that they saw, we help them identify those throughout the course. So then we say you can apply that before, especially if we catch them like in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And they're about to go to high school. So before they take those drastic measures, like in Philly right now, and they're shooting like crazy. The kids are shooting, carjacking and things like that. But they don't, they talking to their peers. So if everybody's getting bad information and there's no leadership, maybe if there is somebody in your school or in your community, if it's not your parents, that you can identify, like maybe I can talk to them and maybe they can help you not make those choices or those decisions.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing. And there's a lot of research based on positive youth development that back that. Just being able to identify someone you can trust. Because, everybody got people they want to talk to.
Absolutely.
But if all right, this is somebody I think I can share with before I go ahead and do this. Because I know what my friends are telling me.
Yeah.
But most people know that somebody older is going to have a little bit of wisdom. Hopefully they would tell you. Some older guys are older.
It leads you astray.
Yeah, they might not give you good advice, but hopefully you can identify some of those attributes. So not only that, they learn conflict resolution, identity. It helps them identify their strengths and weaknesses. All the social emotional capacity, self-management, self-regulation, social awareness, all those key indicators.
Right.
So as a kid matriculates through your program, right, what is the follow-up? Is there as they be 17, 18, 19, are there any kids you guys keep in contact with to see how they're doing, or encouragement?
We've been pretty new. We're new. So
Okay,
I haven't had that time to do that,
Gotcha.
but definitely I want to build it. I have a lot of smart people that I work with and confide in, and they're telling me different things. See, the program I'm running right now, it's actually it's like a franchise fee. I work with the Wayman Institute so I can provide their program.
Okay.
But they're on top of that program that I run. I provide restorative practice trainings to teachers, staffs, organization, businesses, and also help with conflict resolution in schools and train people to do it. So those are some of the other things that I do, or some of the services that I provide as well, and also with positive behavior supports as well. Help you build that out for your organization or your school. So those are the things we do.
Wow. And it comes with a coin, too, because you're training. I ain't mad at you.
You over there counting a man's coins.
No, I'm just saying. I know. I hear it. I know what it is.
Hopefully. That's the goal. It's one of the goals.
Yeah, you can help
Still
people
early
get
in the
paid,
game.
Shay.
That's right.
That's what me and you do. I ain't ashamed. I love my job, but I still got to get paid.
That's right.
Brother got bills. Mama be needing, she like Coach bags and stuff. I'm saying.
I can't with you. Shout out to Priscilla. I see you lift. You hear your husband in here acting crazy.
She know what she probably, yes, baby, yes.
If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call at 267-908-3166. We are talking to Mike McCline, and we're talking about pursuing your passion. Mike, you brought up all the violence and everything that's going on right now in the city of Philadelphia, which I absolutely hate turning on the news at this point. I mean, it's traumatizing just watching the news these days. You know, what's in your thoughts, in your mind? What is going on? Like, what is happening?
I think with the time home, I think when the children now, they've been out of school, almost 2 years. They were out of school, not really. So that routine is different. So there's a lot of idle time being with the computers and the electronics. So what I noticed, if I take it and transfer it on like globally, what I see in my academy with ninth graders this year, starting in September, it was a lot of beef, but it was social media inspired.
Right.
Because you don't have that face to face. Like when we were younger, if you had to approach somebody, there was always hearsay and people running between. But now I can just write a message and say whatever I would like to say to you. And they're really taking that personal.
Absolutely.
Where I don't have that much vested interest in social media or anything really to take anything on social media. And I haven't been exposed to it or engaged in it, using it in that manner. But I think with the internet, they can go and look at anything they want to look at on TV. I mean, it's hard to monitor a kid unless you really one of the parents that put the monitor on the TV, your cell phone. They can get access to anything. Yeah. So I think it's just a lot of influences, and they get overstimulated. And then, and if they're not self-regulated and don't have skills to make sound decisions, this is what happens. Because a lot of the gun violence is with teenagers in Philadelphia. Wilmington, Chester, everywhere is.
You know what I think too, also to piggyback off of the social media thing, now things last forever. And now if you're embarrassed by something, thousands of people can see it. Like when we were growing up, you have a fight, whoever was there, they saw it, that was it. It wasn't videoed, it wasn't shared across the board. So now if people feel like they've been disrespected in such a way, young people, they're gonna come back stronger because now I gotta get you. You done punched me in my face. The whole school done seen that. Yep. So that if you don't have self-regulation, if you're not able to handle that kind of that pressure that's gonna come with that, you're gonna do something irrational. So yeah, it's a different time. I'm glad I grew up when I grew up.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
For sure. 100%. I don't think I would have made it.
Right? Can you imagine?
I don't think I would have made it.
It's hard. It's hard, man.
But you got leaders in place like yourself, so that being able to have that support, which I think is important. In the schools, kids have that opportunity and they have that chance. They just, really want somebody to believe in them and understand. I think a lot of people are misunderstood. I definitely think it's the self-regulation is an issue. So let's talk about that, because we always have a conversation about, young black boys not being raised not to show emotions and feelings and stuff, and then when they mature into men, it's hard to get them to talk or open up because this is how they were.
Yeah, or you soft. We don't talk about how we feel or express that. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a major issue. They're doing in the public school setting. I know they're trying to push more for counseling and things in that nature, but you need the resources. Money talks. So whatever the government, since it's a public school, whatever they put their money behind is what's going to get pushed. But I think maybe culturally, we just have to start taking a look. I think the accountability, like each one starts with us, and then each one teach one. So I think it's more or less being able to share, the people who are able to share their emotions, who do believe in that type of talk. Right. Just talking about it and putting it on a platform and letting others know that you can. I will say this year was interesting. Like we had 2 weeks before school started, our freshmen came in, but they were very vocal about like how they felt. I don't know if it was like organized and directed with a purpose, but they will say how they feel about a situation. There was a lot of truth. It's a lot of truth in these young people. Like if you really sit back and listen, and filter out the noise, listen to the point, don't get caught up in how it's said, or like the tone. I think the answer is always with them. That's with anybody.
Yeah,
that's it. That's key. What you just said.
It was, because I think people do get caught up in the tone. It's how you said it
and how it's presented.
How it's presented. I think sometimes we are, like I said, misunderstood because we are focusing on the tone and we're thinking about, you're being disrespectful, not listening to what they're trying to say, right?
I mean, we do it with our own kids.
Right.
Tell your child some of that. What? You're like, what you say? Who you talking to?
Exactly.
You done missed the whole thing because you like, yeah. So, I mean, again, human nature, I think, and the way we're raised, especially in our community, everything is disrespect almost. You suck your teeth, you might get killed.
Exactly. Did you roll your eyes at me?
Yeah, like, no. Someone's in my eye. So it is. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Everything's disrespect.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so the changes that are happening in the schools one thing that I'm happy to see is that mental health is being taken seriously now. You know, coming into schools, doing mental health with the kids. Years ago, that was cool, but now everybody across the world, mental health. Everybody's talking about mental health. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is I'm so happy about that, especially within our community, within the Black community, because, you know, we don't talk about it. You know, we put it underneath the rug. We don't talk about that uncle that's been in the room locked up for years, you know what I'm saying, that nobody see or stay away from. We don't talk about that there's mental issues there. And if we continue to go down that path, this is where this generational stuff is coming from. Yeah. You know?
And that's always generational. Like, you know, our ancestors, they dealt with the circumstances that were given. I mean, you know, and then they got passed down. Now we're in Jim Crow. They're dealing with the circumstances they were given, and we just keep pushing. And we're angry and mad, but we just hold it in. And I think that is a complete breakdown. Well, that's part of the complete breakdown of our family system, I think, too, because we don't share and we don't talk about nothing. We just sweep it away, and that carpet gets taller and taller. And before you know, we got a volcano. And it's a hot mess. So I'm like you said, I'm glad that you, Michael, I'm glad that we are in these schools and we're doing work with these kids, man. It's important. So
definitely.
Very much important. I think last week we were talking, I gave the example of, you know, if you think about back in slavery, you know, when someone, rather it was, you know, the husband or the wife or the child being, you know, taken off and sold, or the wife being, you know, taken off and raped, right? Nobody offered them, hey, you need a counselor? You know what I'm saying? You need, like, therapy. There was nothing going on where they are able to process their trauma and what's happening, to see their loved ones go through that, or themselves, right? So one of the things we were talking about last week was, I feel that we as a community, we're born into trauma because it started way back then, you know, and we didn't have that outlet to be able to talk and process our emotions and feelings. We had to just suck that up and keep moving.
And we didn't know what to call it either.
We didn't know what to call it. Right. You know? But then that's where the ideal of, we pray about everything. We pray about everything, give it to God, everything. And we always say you can have God and a therapist, right? You can have that, you know. So, you know, that's just really important. So I'm really happy that mental health is being, people are more aware about it, and people are more likely to come in and get therapy and seek therapy.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm really excited about that. Do you guys, like, how big of a part does mental health play in you know, rather it's in your school or even in your company?
Well, yeah, we in both parts, you know, everybody's being trauma informed. So, you know, you go through that training and whatnot. But not only from the trauma informed stance, I think it's more therapeutic in nature that it's on people's forefront. So services are more aligned now in a school setting to connect students that you may see struggling, or if you even think they're struggling, you can connect them with a social worker that has a plethora of community-based or school-based interventions that could be set up. But going back on what you just said, I like what you were saying about, you know, you could pray and have a therapist.
Absolutely.
You know, but prayer without work, you still gotta act. Like, that's the whole thing. So even with mental health, hopefully people can act and take the step, or the opportunity is afforded for people to take the action to get, so that somebody can intervene, or someone, or whatever they need to get, they can get. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Absolutely, it really is. Mike, talk about a little bit about changing your perspective.
Okay, so I'll give an example. So when I was younger, when a situation would happen, I think I always had like a gift of intuition. I kind of know things, but sometimes they can lead you down the wrong way. Like, you know, it was years ago. I had a therapist, and they were like, "You have irrational thought process because you make up the ending, so you got to replace that thought and just ask more direct questions."
Right.
So by asking those direct questions, that helped me change my perspective because I got truth, or at least I got the truth that the person was telling me. So then I can make a decision based on truth, not on what I thought. So that was a big growth change, like helping with my perspective. But then I would say within like the last year and a half, like if I have a dilemma or an issue I'm dealing with, just say it's a colleague at work or a subordinate at work that I'm dealing with, the issue at hand, I try to put myself in. I was like, how does McCline think about it? And I'll go in, then I'll give like just random person. I say, well, how would Dr. Martin Luther King think about it? If I really can't wrap my mind around it,
Right.
then I'll just make people that I look up to or that I favorite and just what would they think? What do I think they would think about that issue?
Right.
So then in the end, I can come to a solution, try to figure out that solution.
Okay.
Because obviously I didn't go, my gut wasn't telling me, so I'll try to do that. It's just like an exercise.
Yeah.
And most of the times you'll get a perspective out of it, I try to pick the most positive one. That's what like the feedback from it is. Like if I look at a perspective or a situation, looking at it from everybody's perspective, then I'll be like, what's the one that serves me the most? That's the most positive.
Yeah.
So I don't get caught up in being
like
my worst
that.
enemy.
Yeah.
Stuck
Absolutely.
in the way I see it.
Yeah, I like that. I really do. Shout out to Ricky Duncan. Ricky says mental health and trauma informed care should be mandatory to help break the generational curse. Absolutely.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thank you for your comment. You got any comments over there? You quiet over there tonight? What's going on? What's happening? No? All right. Well, we're going to continue. We're going to start moving forward. What's up?
No, I was giving you the time.
Oh, okay. Oh, you checking the time now?
I didn't know because I thought you was about to go into a whole nother segment.
No. Wrapping up, Mike, is there anything you would like to leave our audience with?
Just check out Impact Community Supports on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Also, check us out at www.impactcommunitysupports.org. The website is under construction. We're actually getting some adjustments made to it now, but it'll be up in the next couple of days. And also check us out on Michael Perry McCline Facebook. Okay. So that's my public page for like all my stuff dealing with information dealing with Impact Community Supports.
Okay, awesome. And we have all of that is popping up on the video as we speak. So everybody have that information. Mike, thank you so much for coming to
Thanks
the
for having
Rebirth.
me.
Absolutely. We would love to have you back again.
Great.
Thank you for what you're doing in the community. I know from, just watching your work back in the day, I do know that you're impactful and you love what you do. And, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I love our children.
Yeah, our kids need to see that. So we appreciate you. So thanks for joining us.
No doubt.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
No doubt.
it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you guys for tuning into the Rebirth. We are here every Monday at 7 p.m. Make sure you tune in next Monday. Eli, what's going on with you?
Hey, on the mic. What? Am I supposed to be making an announcement?
Do you have an announcement to make?
I don't have. You put me on the spot. I feel like I got to come up with something.
Oh, okay.
Next Monday, the wine will be cold. You put me out there right now.
I cannot.
We'll have something nice for you.
We got another comment came in from Teresa Brunson. She says, Mike McCline is very knowledgeable about this subject. Great guest. All right. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you all for tuning in.
And co-signing.
Yeah. Mike the bomb.
Yo, when Mike come back, he had to bring one of his students with him.
One of his students?
One of his students. Let's get that perspective.
All right.
That would be dope.
I don't think that would be a
I
problem.
gotta get consent. Yep, get some consent papers.
Yeah. All right. You got any more thoughts you want to add out there?
I don't. I just want to thank you, though, man. It's good to see a fellow brother out here on the front lines, man. So I appreciate it.
Appreciate you
No
too,
doubt.
man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday. Have a great night. God bless.
You know that one topic that
You for any stand, I'm in a go and be. No, I me. No, you got all I need.